Hey everybody, and welcome to tonight's presentation, How to Prioritize Your Tasks and Get Things Done. Presented to you by Crisis Ready Training, and we are going to look at some strategies and some ideas that are going to help you know what to do in your workday and how to actually achieve them. Before we actually get started into that, my name is Rodney Owen. I am the head trainer here at Crisis Ready Training, and I am a qualified counsellor, and I have been since 2010. And since then, I've spent 14 years working in the community services industry, and I have worked for a range of organisations. Most notably, I worked for Lifeline for about 6 years. I've also worked with a range of different clients and people, including people with mental health issues, drug and alcohol issues, disabilities, and now I work with business owners and helping take care of their mental health and their well-being. What we're going to cover tonight, we're going to look at what is prioritization and why it's important. We're going to look at how to prioritize the right things. We're going to look at how to then prioritize your tasks, how to get things done, and then finally, we're going to look at some ways that you can build some sustainable habits. That way they stick with you for a long, long time. But what I want you to take away from this presentation, okay, the big idea is prioritization is not a time management skill. It is a well-being skill. A lot of people talk about time management or prioritization as a way of managing time, so that way you can fit more things in and then get better at that and then fit even more in. And this is part of the hustle culture or the grind culture. And I'm not a big fan of that because I believe it does more harm than good, even though it's very popular these days. But what I'm going to teach you tonight is how to prioritize your tasks so that way you can have more of a positive impact on your well-being and your mental health. All right, so what is prioritization? Now, if I went and asked 10 different people what is prioritization, they are going to say slightly different things, all meaning very much the same thing, but very, very different. All right, and what I like to do is I like to get a definition so that way we can all be on the same page. Okay, so what is prioritization? The definition is prioritization is the process of deciding what deserves your attention first, what can wait, and what doesn't need your attention at all. It's all about how to order your tasks, how to decide which ones to do first, how to decide when to do them. Okay, this is what prioritization is, and this is what we're going to be talking about in tonight's session. All right, so now we know what it is. Why does it matter? Is prioritization important? Yes, it is really important. Have you ever said to yourself something like, I don't know where to start, or there's just too much to do, or I'm drowning, or I can't keep up with everything I have to do? Right? At some stage, I'm sure you have, because we've all said it. I know I've said these things a lot as well. And it's very easy when we're saying these things, we've got a lot of things on our plate. It's very much, it's easy to sort of go, I have too much to do. All right? And that's the reality of modern life. We've got a lot happening. We've got family commitments, we've got work commitments, financial pressures, we've got appointments, we've got emails, we've got all sorts of other things that are all trying to get our attention. Right? This is what the world is like now, and technology has made it worse, unfortunately. But the problem is not that you have too much to do. The problem is that everything is competing for your attention all at the same time. Right? I want you to imagine you're standing in front of a group of 10 people, and they're all talking to you all at once. Some are louder than others. Some are saying one thing, they're all saying different things, right? In that situation, it's hard to know what everyone's saying. It's hard to know which ones you need to listen to, right? And this can lead to you feeling very overwhelmed, right? This is what's happening in our everyday lives. All these things vying for our attention all at the same time. It's like people are talking to us all at once and we can't keep up, right? So then when everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. And we try and keep everything in our heads all at once. And we just don't have the capacity. We're constantly switching between tasks because we don't know which one is more important. And we spend more time reacting to things instead of intentionally choosing to do things. Right? And so when this happens, when we have too many competing demands, we start feeling overwhelmed. When we feel overwhelmed, we don't know where to start. So then we start procrastinating or we start choosing easy tasks. Then we fall further and further behind. That leads to feeling more and more overwhelmed. Then again, we don't know where to start. We keep procrastinating and we fall even further behind. This is the overwhelm cycle. But knowing how to prioritize these tasks, we can actually cut this cycle, get things done, and feel less overwhelmed. The overwhelm, it has a major impact on mental health. Okay, it increases stress and anxiety, and when we're feeling stressed and anxious, we have a lot of chemicals flooding the body, adrenaline, cortisol. This is not good for our long-term health. We start feeling guilty about not getting enough done. Right? We have difficulty switching off. Who here has ever woken up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep because you think of all the stuff you've got to do the next day? I know I have. And if we can't switch off, we can't sleep, we can't rest, that's going to have more of an impact on our physical health. We also leads to reduced motivation and energy. And over time, it increases the risk of burnout. And if you can't burn out, you can't be effective in your job. The good news is you don't need to work harder. You just need a better way of deciding what deserves your attention and when to do it. All right? And before we can do that, we are going to need a framework. So now we're going to look at how to prioritize your tasks. I'm going to give you a framework that you can use to do that. This framework is called the Eisenhower Matrix. I'll go into it more, but first we need to talk about how people usually prioritize your tasks. All right, so we tend to do the task that is more fun or has the less friction or the one that we enjoy the most. All right, these are well and good, but they might not be the most important tasks. Or quite often we give the grease to the squeakiest wheel. Now the squeaky wheel is that task that is the most problematic or making the most noise or taking most of your attention. All right, that might not be the best use of your time giving that squeaky wheel of grease. Or often we let other people's priorities determine our own. Everyone has their own priorities that they're unique to everyone. Someone else's priority is not necessarily yours. And if you spend your time meeting someone else's priority, you're not meeting yours. So these are the ways that people usually prioritize tasks. These are not the effective ways. This is how we end up in that overwhelm cycle. All right? It helps us to look and feel busy. But being busy isn't the same as making progress. Like you can tick off dozens of small tasks. You can still avoid the one thing that's going to make the biggest difference. So how do you know which is the one thing that's going to make the biggest difference? Well, we need to start by asking ourselves two questions. The first one, is it important? An important task is one that contributes to your goals, responsibilities, values, or long-term success. It creates meaningful progress and has significant consequences if it's ignored. Okay, look at those two phrases: meaningful progress and significant consequences if it's ignored. This is what is important, right? So determine what's important. Ask yourself, does this move me closer to my goals? If this is not contributing to my goals in any way, it's not important. Or is this one of my key responsibilities? Often, especially if we work for other people in businesses, other people give us lots of stuff to do. Is it one of your key responsibilities? If not, it's not your priority. It's someone else's. What happens if I don't do this? If this doesn't get done, are there big consequences? If there is, it's important. And will this still matter next week or next month? Right? Something might have an impact now, today, or this minute. Right? But if it's not going to still be important down the track, next week, next month, next year, is it really important? Right? Some examples of important tasks could be preparing for an important meeting. What's an important meeting? Well, maybe it could be um, meeting, maybe negotiating salary, or maybe it's a job interview, or maybe it is a meeting that is going to determine the future of a project you're working on. All right. Completing a project. How often do you not complete things because little things come up and take your time and you don't get the project completed? If you've got a project, especially if it's nearing deadline, maybe the important thing is to stop and get that done, then look at everything else afterwards. Right? Planning. Right? So maybe you're planning a big project or something that's happening. Right? If it's important to plan out. Looking after your health. We don't prioritize this enough. We're going to talk about it a bit later, but looking after your health is important, because if if you fall sick or injured or whatever, you can't get things done. Right? Spending time with your family, also important. All right. What is the point of all these goals? Is if you lose your family in the process. Also, professional development, taking the time to learn how to do your job better. And you're here watching this now, so I know you know that professional development is important. The next question we need to ask ourselves, is it urgent? So an urgent task requires immediate attention, because delaying it would result in immediate consequences. Right? Look at that, immediate attention. If not, immediate consequences. Right? That's how you determine what is urgent. Does it need to be done now? Right? Ask yourself, does this genuinely need to be done today? Right? If this doesn't get done till tomorrow, what's going to happen? If it's not done today, what's going to happen? Is there a real deadline? Right? A lot of people impose deadlines on us. I need to get this done before the end of the week. Why? Is this a real deadline? Does it have real consequences? Or is it just something you want to get done? All right. If it doesn't have a real deadline, it's not that urgent. Is someone waiting on me before they can continue? This is a big one. All right. Quite often, people are waiting on other people to complete tasks, and you become the bottleneck if you're the one not getting those tasks done. If someone is waiting, it's going to hold up a project. So if you know you need to get stuff done for someone else to do their job, that is urgent. You need to then prioritize that. Now, what happens if this waits until tomorrow? If there is no significant consequences, then it can wait till tomorrow, right? This is how we know what things are urgent. Some examples: client deadline is due today, an unexpected issue that affects work. All right, so we might be working and the power goes out. Oh no, that now becomes urgent because it's affecting our work. Maybe it's a bill due today or some sort of time-sensitive requests. All these are urgent tasks. So urgent means it needs attention right now. Important means it deserves your attention because it contributes to something meaningful. The two are not always the same. You're going to have those tasks that are both urgent and important. You're going to have tasks that are important but not urgent, tasks that are urgent but not important, and also tasks that are neither urgent or important. All right, so what we need to do is write a list. All the tasks we need to get done, ask those questions on each task, and then we can pop it in this little matrix. This is the Eisenhower matrix. All right, the first quadrant, it's the things that are urgent and important. These are the things you must do first. These are your top priorities. Your next priority, the ones that are important but not urgent. They need to get done, but they don't need to get done first or now. Schedule these at a time that works for you to get them done. Right? Then we've got those not important but urgent tasks. These you can delegate, get someone else to do them. They don't require your time and energy. All right? And then lastly, we've got the things that are not important and not urgent. You can delete these. These don't need to be done. Right? How many tasks are you working on that are neither urgent or important? How much time is being wasted pouring your energy into these tasks? Now, what if you don't have a team to delegate stuff to? Great question. You can't always delegate, but you can still make better decisions. First of all, you can batch all these things, get them all done at once in one block. Schedule a time to get all these things done at once. You can automate it. You can use technology these days to automate tasks so they happen automatically without you. Or you can schedule it. And just as you schedule the important but not urgent tasks, you can also then schedule those urgent but not important tasks. All right, but give them the place they deserve. All right, so once you've got this figured out, you can determine how you tackle the day. Here's an example from me recently. A couple of weeks ago, I was preparing for some training that I was doing. It was going to be 3 days of training. I was also preparing for this webinar and other life stuff that happens. So I wrote out all the tasks. I didn't know what to do first. I wrote all the tasks and then I assigned them. So an urgent and important task, I had to make a phone call. I had to call the contact at the organization I was training for, make sure everything was on schedule, but I had to follow up, make sure the invoice was paid. All right, that affected the income, so that was important. All right, also had to go and edit the training slides. It's urgent because I was giving the training the next day, and it's important because I was being paid to deliver this training. So I had to make sure the slides were up to date and as I wanted them to be. All right. Then I had a bunch of important stuff, but it's not urgent. So I had to record a reel for Facebook. I had to schedule some emails. I had to develop the slides for this webinar. And I also had to plan my next one. All right. These were all important. These all moved the needle forward on my goals, but I didn't have to do them right there and then. All right. I also had some urgent but not important stuff. I had to print off some feedback sheets for my for the training I was given the next day. And look, that was urgent because I was doing the training next day, but it wasn't important because it did not have an impact on my training. If I did not have those feedback sheets, all that would happen is I didn't receive the feedback I was looking for. Right? It did not affect the training I was about to give. So that's how I knew it was not important, but it was urgent. And also answering emails. So now that I've got all this, how did I plan my day? Well, first of all, I knew editing my training slides were going to take quite some time. So I didn't want to do that up front because then I'd miss out on doing a lot of other stuff. First thing I did was make the phone call because I was not looking forward to it. Sometimes I don't like having those hard conversations, or it can be a bit conflict avoidant. So I just bit the bullet and I did that first, and I got it done. I'm like, yes, that's the hardest thing I had to do. And then I actually had to go out and do some shopping. So I decided while doing that, I batched a few things. I went and I got the feedback sheets printed off, and then I found a nearby park while I was out and I recorded the reel. So I got those things all done at the one time. Then I came back and I edited the slides. Everything else there, the slides for this webinar, I didn't have to do that day or even that week. and definitely developing the next webinar, didn't have to do that. So I put those off to another day, right? And I got everything done. What I actually just discovered, when everything's in my head, it's like, oh my God, I've got so much to do. When I actually wrote it out, I go, oh, that's not as much as I thought. Once you see it out and it's out of your head, you realize you don't have that much um, to do, and you realize, wow, I can get everything done, and I don't feel stressed or overwhelmed with it all. All right, so now we're going to look at how to get some stuff done. These are some strategies you can use to make progress. All right, and once we make some progress, we're going to get some motivation, some momentum. All right, and we're going to be feeling pretty good about ourselves. We're going to reduce stress and overwhelm. So the first strategy is you need to protect your priorities. All right, once you've determined what your priorities are, you need to protect it from everything else that's trying to invade your attention. The first way you can do that is by time blocking. Look at some gaps in your schedule, and actually put in a calendar time that you're only going to do this thing. So it might be, for instance, you need to create some social media content, for example, right? It's important, but it's not urgent. So let's block out an hour on a Monday afternoon. We get that stuff done, and we only do that stuff. That becomes our priority at that time. All right. And when I tell people about time blocking, I say the only thing that can interrupt you is if the building you are in is on fire. That's the only time you can be disturbed during that time. Everything else can wait. Phone calls can be returned after the hour. Emails can be returned later. Right? Pop yourself in a room where no one else is going to come and distract you, and you just get that stuff done. And then once that hour is over, then you are free to concentrate or focus on other tasks, and you can pop that task away and go, I've done that now. All right. Also, you need to manage a false urgency. Right. A lot of things, a lot of tasks come to us, and they appear urgent. Maybe someone is trying to give it a sense of urgency. I need this done now. Or maybe it's, a notification that's just blinking at you. Ask yourself those questions to determine, is it urgent? If it's not urgent, then put it aside. Schedule it for later. All right? Make sure that urgency is not false. It's a genuine urgency. Learn to say no. If something comes up that's trying to take away from your priority at the moment, you need to say no. Say, no, I can't do that now. Or I can't do that at all. Right? Every time you say no to something, you're saying yes to something. What you want to make sure you're doing is saying yes to your priorities and no to someone else's. All right? Also determine, is something a time-sensitive request? Is there a time limit on this? Do I need to get this done right now? All right. Also, avoid time thieves. Time thieves are those things or people that just take the time away from what you're trying to do. This could be, biggest time thief is scrolling on social media or trying to find something. I was working on something and technology was failing me. So now I went down a rabbit hole figuring out how to fix something. And after a while, I'm like, no, I can't spend any more time on this because it's not my priority. All right, so identify those time thieves and avoid them. Right? The next strategy is to make it easier. Sometimes those tasks or those priorities or those projects seem really big and overwhelming. All right, and when it's like that, that creates overwhelm, and we start procrastinating again. So if that happens, break your projects down into bite-sized chunks. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. All right, you don't eat him whole. All right, and then once you have broken those tasks down, those projects down into tasks, then focus on that one step at a time. All right, don't look at all the tasks that's overwhelming. Just look at this next task. And then once you've ticked it off, just look at the next one and the next one. And then what happens? That creates some momentum. You start getting some things done. You start feeling good about yourself. You get more stuff done. You feel even better about yourself. No overwhelm, no stress. And that's actually the opposite of the overwhelm cycle, getting it to spin the other way in that momentum cycle. Momentum, it creates motivation. And when you're motivation, you're going to get more stuff done. All right, you also need to be flexible. Priorities change. Something happens, and all of a sudden, a new task becomes the priority. You just need to change with it. You need to be flexible with it. A lot of people say, I'm at work, I'm really busy. But if you got a phone call saying one of the family members or the kids is in hospital, you bet that's going to become your new priority. So keep asking yourself, is what I'm working on still the most important thing? Does this still align with my goals? Maybe it's the goal that's changed. I have goals for me that have changed. If I kept working on the tasks that were going to set me up for old goals and not my new ones, I'd never get new ones finished. Am I being productive, or am I just being busy? Is stuff getting done? Right? Is what I'm doing actually contributing to my overall plan, or is it just stuff that fills in the day? And has something genuinely changed? Have I been distracted? Right? A lot of things you might, this now becomes my new priority. Is it? Again, put it through that matrix. See if it's an actual genuine priority or if it's just a distraction. All right, you can utilize technology as well. We have more technology today than we ever have in the course of human history. Use these technology tools. Use your calendars to create to-do lists and to block out time. Use task management software to plan out all your tasks and keep track of how you're going with them by ticking them off. And then you can use AI and automations to get stuff done without you having to do it, or to get stuff done quicker. If you have 5 emails to write, it is a lot easier to put it through an AI LLM and get them to at least come up with a first draft for you, rather than you have to type it all out yourself. Right? The technology is there. You just need to use it. No, the other strategy is to build daily habits. When something is a habit, it takes the thinking out of it, because a habit is just something you do automatically. Right? And we can build these habits. Right? So at the start of your day, make it a habit to review your priorities. Write a list of tasks, use the matrix, see where it fits. And then out of that, identify your top 3 tasks. These are the top 3 things you have to get done today. Everything else is just a bonus. All right, and then go through and time block out your day. When are you going to get these things done? All right, and then during the day, work from your priorities, not from your inbox. Meaning, don't jump at every request that comes by you. Set your priorities. If you need to plan time in the day to look and make sure new tasks that haven't taken a priority, do so. But work from your priorities. Minimize your distractions. Put the phone on do not disturb. Shut off the emails. Work in a different room. Tell people I'm not available at this time. Hold my calls. And then capture new tasks instead of automatically switching. All right. New task comes in, write it down, and have a time during the day where you sit and review the new task and see where it fits in the priority. At the end of the day, make it a habit to review what you've completed. All right. Then move any unfinished tasks to tomorrow, to some other time. And then set your top 3 tasks for tomorrow. All right. And then at the end of the week, spend some time to look at what did I accomplish? Has it moved me closer to my goals? How far away am I from my goals now? What do I have left to do? All right. Am I still on track for what I want to achieve? Now, if you need help sort of building better habits or daily habits, I recommend the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's really good. It talks about how to sort of stack habits on top of each other so that way they automatically happen. All right. So this last section is all about building sustainable habits. Okay. How can you keep going without burning out? Now, what we've looked at up until now is actually how to do things. This is going to be more mindset stuff. What is the mindset of beliefs you need to hold that will enable you to do that? Because quite often, what trips us up is not our lack of time, or it's not our lack of resources. It's up here. It's the mind. It's how we think about things. All right. So hopefully, you can take these on to build better mindset. That way, you can, it can have a positive impact on your well-being. The first thing I want you to know is you'll never get everything done. There's always going to be more tasks than time, and that's okay. All right, tasks can be put off until tomorrow, until another time. All right, but if we're trying to get everything done, we're trying to cram everything into the day, we're going to spend hours and hours working, and that's going to have a negative impact on us. Success is not about completing every task. Success is about completing the right tasks. Success is about achieving those goals you set out to achieve. All right, so if you're like feeling bad about yourself because you didn't get everything done that day, that is going to have a negative impact on us. Whereas if we're working towards and achieving goals, that's going to make us feel better. That's going to have a better impact on our health and well-being. All right, it's all about progress, not perfection. Perfection often delays progress. How often have you not achieved things because you were trying to get it perfect? And I believe nothing can be perfect. What is perfect? Perfect is some sort of ideal. It's often unattainable. All right, but done is better than perfect. Right, done is what gets us our goals. Perfect doesn't. And it's all about small, consistent actions. This is what creates momentum. You ever seen those cartoons where you get a small snowball and they roll it down a hill, and as it rolls, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger? That's momentum. It's not the big, perfect snowball that gets momentum. It's a small one that just keeps rolling. Be realistic. A lot of people are not realistic about what they can achieve or how long it's going to take them to achieve. We often overestimate what we can do or how long things will take. Right? Set time frames that allow for extra time, especially if it's the first time you're doing something. If you think, this should take me 10 minutes, schedule 15. All right? Or be realistic about how much time you should spend on something. Right? I'm going to spend an hour on this, no more, then I need to move on. All right? And also set goals that you can attain. Right? I often would used to set huge goals that were up here. And then when I was down here and so far away from achieving, I get disheartened. I would like to think of what I could have achieved if I had have just kept going with a lot of stuff. You need to prioritize yourself too. All right. Self-care, a lot of people treat it as a reward. When I achieve this, then I'll take a break. Or when I finish this, then I'll do this. All right. It's great to set a reward for some self-care task, right? So when I finish this project, I'm going to go get a massage. That's fine. But basic self-care is not a reward. It is a non-negotiable. Rest is productive, and sleep improves decision making. All right? If you have ever read the book The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey, it talks about a story about two lumberjacks, and they both got to cut down trees. And the one lumberjack, he just keeps going all day, doesn't stop, doesn't take a rest. But he notices the other lumberjack will go for about 50 minutes and then take a 10-minute rest every hour. And at the end of the day, the one that took rest cut down more trees. The other guy goes, "How did you cut down more trees? I spent more time than you. What were you doing in the rest time?" He said, I was sharpening my saw. Meant he could cut down the trees more effectively. Right? Rest is sharpening your saw, sharpening your mental saw. Okay? And by taking those regular rest times, you can improve the focus. All right? There is a technique called the Pomodoro technique, and it says that out of every hour, you spend 50 or 55 minutes working, and then 5 to 10 minutes taking a break. Right? Step away from what you're doing. Right? Go for a walk, do something else. Not focus on that, and you come back, and then you're going to be more productive in the next 50 minutes. Also, exercise and healthy habits increase energy. How often do we not get things done because I'm just too tired? Well, exercise and healthy habits increases this energy. And time with family and friends is also important. It's not optional. Right? What's the use of achieving all these goals if you lose your family in the process? So make the time. Schedule that time to catch up with your friends once a week. Schedule that Saturday morning soccer game. Don't spend it working. Actually spend the time watching the kids or whatever it is you need to do. Right? We need to celebrate our progress. Right? Instead of thinking or focusing on what you didn't get done today, ask, what did you achieve? What progress have I made? How much closer am I to my goals? Right? And be proud of that. A lot of people say, oh, I didn't get everything done. I feel bad at myself. I'm beating myself up. No. Go, hey, I got this done. And this was the important thing. I feel great. But also don't minimize. Don't minimize what you have done. A lot of people say, oh, I only got 4 things done out of 8. No. Don't minimize that because you're taking the shine away from what you have achieved. And that's not a celebration. All right? And think about what is my most important priority tomorrow? Right? What do I need to focus on and be proud of achieving? All right, so hopefully what you've taken away from today is prioritization isn't about getting more done. It's about making better decisions. Better decisions reduce overwhelm. Reduced overwhelm improves well-being. Improved well-being helps you perform at your best. Right? And this is what I'm all about here at Crisis Ready Training, helping people like you to look after their well-being, their mental health, so they can perform at their very best. Right? I hope you've got some great takeaways from this. I hope it's something you're going to go and implement now. And don't forget to download your free resource guide. This is filled with checklists and templates that you can use to start putting this stuff into place right now. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon.